Alright guys, so I'm going to show you what kind of bait I'm using for these carp over here at Bronick. Now what you guarantee need is some quick oats. You can get that at Sam's. It's like 10 bucks for like, no, say 8 bucks for like 10 pounds. It's better if you just buy it bulk. You're going to come out a lot. And then just go ahead and get this Maseca. This is the 4-pound bag. They got 2-pound bag, but I just use it 2 pounds at a time or even less. And then get you, I like to put for every pound, just put 6 ounces of your desired flavor that you want, but I'm going to go with strawberry. These are the cheapest ones you can get. HEB has these for 50 cents for 6 ounces. The Jello brand and the other generic ones are more expensive and they give you way less. And then we'll do 1 can of whole corn. So for every 2 pounds, I like to do 1 whole can of corn for every 2 pounds of the Maseca, because sometimes I just use the Maseca and just the whole corn, and 2 packages of these, so 6 ounces for every pound. And then this will dissolve really fast once it hits the water, but if I want to make it last, then I'll add some quick oats, so I'm going to do that as well. I don't really measure out the quick oats, I just add as much as I want, because this soaks up the water. And then with this, I mean, it'll last a while on your feeder rig. And then this is kind of optional, but if you can't find these, or these are out of stock, I mean, this is pretty cheap. This is cheap too, so throw this in there. Strawberry. And if you're doing a hair rig, you can use this corn, right? But these sometimes kind of fall out pretty easy because they're kind of soft. You can just get the whole corn. They're like 60-50 cents. This as a hook bait, or even putting on the hair rig, will last a lot longer. These are a little more firmer, but this will work for putting on your hook. Lasts longer than this on the hook, and on the hair rig. So this is all you guys need for some carp at Bronick. But we're gonna go ahead and mix this and show you. Alright guys, so we're just gonna start adding everything one by one. There's no specific order to what you want to do. But like I said, for the Maseca, we're just gonna do half the bag, so I'm gonna guess that's probably 2 pounds. And then with the corn, just go ahead and do the juice of the corn in there. You're not gonna overdo it with the juice of the corn. We're gonna add some water later on. If you guys happen to have a big red soda, something sweet, you can throw a whole can in there, throw a whole bottle in there. And then, like I said, since it's 2 pounds, we're gonna throw 2 packs of that. Actually, we might actually do 3, depending how much oats we throw in there. But I mean, you guys can switch it up, but that's just kind of my rule. Every pound, 6 ounces of strawberry. So if you want to throw 3, you want to throw 4 of those, and throw as many as you want. There's no right or wrong way to make this. Just don't overdo it with the water, like I said before. So with the oats, if you want to add a pound of that to every 2 pounds of Maseca, that's okay. You want to add half a pound, but like I said, no one's really going to measure that when you're out there. Just kind of eyeball it. And then it kind of depends. If it's just myself or a couple people, then I'll definitely add more. And like I said, that's optional for the syrup, for the strawberry syrup, but I mean, it don't hurt. It's not that pricey either. I pretty much go through the whole bottle. I add little by little, and then by the time you do that, that bottle's gone. So once we get everything added, we're gonna start mixing. I kind of mix it before I start throwing the water in there, just to mix the Maseca and the oats. And like I mentioned before, if you don't want to put oats, you can use the maseca and the corn, and that's a good bait too, just by itself. And the reason I like the maseca over the oats is when you put it on your rig, it actually stays on there, and it casts really well, so you don't have to worry about it falling off. And then here, like I said, add 8 ounces, 16 ounces at a time until you get to the right consistency. I mean, preferably it's easier to use your hand. I was just being lazy using the stick. And then you'll see that kind of consistency that you should want for your bait. It's kind of like a dough ball. But you see, you can squeeze on my hand. It doesn't really break too easy. It kind of stays compact to each other, and that's gonna cast really well, and that's gonna stay a little bit longer on your carp rig. So just like that, and you're ready to go. So before I start fishing, I'm actually gonna chum the area we'll be fishing, and I'm gonna use this bomb legging device. You can see that little red button on the tip of the bomb. Once it hits the water, it will open up and let all the bait you put out. But I'll probably do this 2 or 3 times just to get some scent and some bait out in the water. And then you're gonna want to cast it to the same area that you'll be casting your rigs at. So as the carp are feeding, they'll probably bite. They'll probably pick up either your bullies or your hook bait and get hooked. So just cast it to the same area, find out the bait, get some scent out, and by the time I'm done rigging, it's probably been 10-15 minutes that there's already bait in the water. So I mean, you don't need this thing, you can just throw by hand, but it makes it a lot easier to have one. But I'll link it below if you guys are interested. So here's option number 1 that I like doing. It's just I'll do a straight bullies on the hair rig with the feeder rig, right? So you can get these on Amazon. This is strawberry flavor. It's from Bait Nerd. And that little tool is just to make a small hole into the bullies, and then you'll pull it through, and then you'll attach it to the hair rig. If you guys want me to make a separate video on the rig and how I like making my own, then I can go ahead and do that. Just let me know in the comments below. But once you attach the bullies, you can leave that for hours. You won't have to change all the bullies depending on how fast they dissolve. I usually just, because I'm constantly putting a bait on the feeder rig, then I'll check maybe every 30 minutes or so, and then recast, put more bait out, put more scent. But I mean, you could leave the bullies in there for like 2 or 3 hours, and it's still gonna be there. It's just the carp aren't around yet. At least for Bronick, the bite's been pretty much at nighttime. And then this is what I mean is a feeder rig. You're gonna, when you go on Amazon, these are Carp metal feeder rigs. There's a bunch of options to choose from. They're all basically the same. Some might have a little weight to it, but just putting the bait around the feeder rig itself, it's gonna create enough weight for you to cast. You can always just add a small little egg weight onto your rig if you want more weight to get out further, or just use a longer rod. But this is option number 1, using a bullies. And then you're just gonna want to push that hook onto the feeder rig itself and cast out, and then just wait for the carp to bite. They fight better than redfish at the lake. So this is where the whole corn I was telling you about to use as the hook bait. So again, I'm gonna use the hair rig, and I'm gonna use that tool to kind of thread that on the braid. And these corn will last a while, but if I'm consistently throwing corn on both rigs, then I'm gonna check them every 30 minutes, just in case since there's a lot of bait at this lake. So the water's really cold right now, so the bait kind of, like the tilapia and shad and everything, kind of leave it alone. So I ain't gotta worry about it too much. But I mean, every 30 minutes I'm just kind of checking to make sure there's corn there. And you don't have to loop it over. That's just something I do, because I put more than technically was supposed to be on there, because you do a knot on that part of the hair rig, and whatever bait passes that knot will not fall off. But since I added more, I loop it onto the hook, and then I'll go and add a couple more pieces of corn onto the hook. And then I'm gonna go get some more of the bait we made, put it on the feeder rig, and we're basically doing the same thing as the bullies, except we're using strictly corn on the hook and on the hair rig. As you can see on this one, I do have a small, I think it's like 1/4 ounce egg weight or 1/2 ounce. And like I said, you don't need that. The bait itself, once you put it around the feeder rig, it's gonna be more than enough weight, depending on what rod you're using. Like I said, that's why I'm using the rods I'm using, since I added a little bit more. It's a little bit heavier, and I want to get a little further, at least during the day, since the bite's been really slow during the day. Nighttime, man, you already know they're there, because they start jumping, you can hear them splashing, and once they're around your bait, it'll be non-stop action. So don't worry about too much about the gear wise, as long as you, whether if you're using a spinning reel or a conventional reel like this, make sure the slack's super loose, so when the carp picks up the bait, it doesn't drop it right away. Just leave that super loose, put your clicker on, and it's gonna be fun, especially during the wintertime. I like when I'm catching these carp, especially that Bronix kind of been dead since the plant hasn't been on. The water's really cold. But leave a light drag, and you'll see right here, clicker's going crazy. We got one. Honestly, it's about time. He does not want to come in. Oh, he's pretty good size. I don't have a dang net. thing down. Looks like he's bleeding already.